Oh hey, I didn't see you there. I'm just working on my to-do list with the new game, Dorfromantik Sakura. I suppose I can cross off awkwardly intro to-do list as a framing device for review intro. And since you're here, I'll go ahead and jot down, kindly explain to viewer what Dorfromantik Sakura is. So, Dorfromantik Sakura is the Japanese reimagining of the board game Dorfromantik, which itself is the board game reimagining of the video game Dorfromantik, which itself is actually the video game reimagining of the bucolic life of terraforming an empty void. Here, though, you'll terraform your table with a couple of friends. You'll use task tiles to be the to-dos in your list, and landscape tiles to pin to cross them off with. Each turn, you'll draw a tile and place it in the hopes of completing one of the 3 tasks in your world, and completing them is as simple as creating a contiguous terrain of exactly that many tiles. Anytime you complete a task, you'll place a new one, jotting down another item in your to-do list. And that's pretty much it for how to play. You'll keep going through landscape tiles until you're out of them, and then you'll tally up points for completed tasks and a couple other bits and bobs. But could it really be more satisfying than the to-do list? And what makes it so, dare I say, cozy? The first step in the cherry blossom wine path to coziness is probably the freedom of the tile placement. Maybe it's Carcassonne, which has traumatized us all into this collective need to match tile edges, but there's a little less of that here. Sure, throw your cherry trees next to your rice paddies next to your villages. Don't worry, the French can't hurt you here. Well, almost. You do still have to run roads to roads and rivers to rivers, but it's not constricting. It's mostly just enough to keep the decisions interesting. There's also a natural modesty to the landscape you end up building out in Dorfromantik. Most of that stems from the fact that tasks only complete on exact matches, and they only go up to size 6. So this disincentivizes creating some sprawling mini Kyoto and instead developing small little pockets of like terrain in preparation for future tasks. And these small pockets give purpose to tiles which otherwise don't help out with any current task. All of this comes together in a sort of beat your best style of scoring, so that means cozy vibes aren't even undercut by a loss. It's not really my thing, though. Even in competitive games, when I can, I prefer to pursue objectives as opposed to point thresholds. And in a cooperative game, the scoring sheet kind of feels like a grade school participation trophy. It's a gold-plated boy with a baseball bat away from sitting in a box in my attic. Here, you can at least melt down that fake gold trophy and put it to use on the campaign sheet. Every game, your score gets marked by game number, assigning you your role in historic Japanese society based on, well, let's call it merit. More importantly, you finally get to cross off some honest-to-goodness boxes. So even if you've had a bad day and you're taking one down, this could be your sad song to turn it around. You're always working towards something locked away in a tuck box, be it new tiles, scoring opportunities, or achievements, and by God, you get to open up tuck boxes. Maybe that's just the hold that ripping Pokemon packs in our youth has over us. So yes, Dorfromantik Sakura has hit Board Games 2024 Marketing Word of the Year. Cozy. But if you're like me, cozy's not enough to bring you to sit down and play a board game. I'll go plop down on the couch and play one of the hundreds of farming sims that exist today. What helps is the game's just plain fun. There's a constant satisfaction to drawing tiles to complete objectives, and I know I said I prefer co-op games with objectives, and what are the 30 tasks in the box if not 30 mini objectives? You haven't truly lived until you've drawn a 5 task to complete a 4 task, and then a 6 task to complete that 5 task, and then another 6 task to complete that 6 task. And I can't tell if I'm speaking with a lick of irony here. There's also the ever-looming threat of the perfect game. The game where you actually place all of the tiles, complete all of the tasks, and create the perfect landscape. Dorfromantik's coziness has changed over time. Most games, the more you play them, the more you nestle into the familiarity of the rules and interactions, and the cozier they get. Almost paradoxically, Dorfromantik, the coziest game I own, has gotten less cozy over time. And that doesn't mean I want to stop playing it by any means, but maybe swap out my tableside herbal tea for some coffee instead. I've given it some thought, Doc, and I think I'm the problem. I've become the dreaded tryhard. Where I used to hope for a general type of tile, I'm now thinking of a specific tile that I want that I know is in the box. I've been min-maxing my lazy Sunday to-do list, thinking about the next task, and the task after that, and the task after that. And you may think to yourself, well, isn't that just playing the game? And maybe, but maybe not the game I was so fast to fall in love with. I find myself missing the times of being a stumbling fawn, just happy to complete any task. So your question now at this point might be, is Dorfromantik Sakura a game for you? And I can't definitively answer that, but I can posit a question. Have you ever written down an item on a to-do list that you've already completed just for the satisfaction of crossing it off? If so, first off, good for you. And second, you sit squarely in the middle of the target demographic for this game. My partner and I love it as sort of a perfect after-dinner affair, a little something to wind down at the end of the night. And if we weren't playing it together, I might honestly play it solo, which is a tall order because the only game I've ever committed to playing solo is Sprawlopolis with my morning tea. And speaking of solo, it being a cooperative game kind of stretches the definition of the word co-op. It really is just decision by committee for what tile goes where. And the box says it goes up to 6, but to me, visualizing 6 people around a table playing this game is almost kind of comedic. Question number 2, are you an enjoyer of the game? If so, you are in good company. Though, every time I would play through it, I would fall off at some point, and if I ever picked it back up to play again, I would probably just start a new run. So I like that the board game takes the same feelings from that game and puts it in a more manageable bite-sized chunk that I can play in a single session. And I guess question 3 is, have you played the original Dorfromantik board game? If so, I wish I could give you a better comparison because we have not played the original. But we can say that we love this one so much that it could be 80% the same game and we're still going to go and play through that campaign. And part of the reason is the campaign is what has made this game so interesting. The different unlocks that come over time help evolve the game and give you new focuses and new considerations. It's on-ramp to all of those different scoring conditions and achievements and different things to think about at a pretty good rate, so every game still feels a little fresh even though you're doing 80% of the same thing. So even after we've achieved everything and we have all the unlocks, I think we'll play this game for a while more. And everyone has a different threshold for how many games it takes for a game to be worth it. But for us, after 25, it's kind of all gravy. Well, that is it for me on Dorfromantik Sakura. If you like the video, think about giving it a like and subscribe. And if you have other recommendations in the same vein, throw them down in a comment. And until next time, I'll catch you later.